Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi, Cletus. Hi, Omide.
Hi, Cletus. Hi, Rosemary. It's nice to see you
Can you
guys.
see me
Fine.
well? I seem to be seeing
You're
only
like,
half of my face on the screen.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
quarter of
Just
it.
have a few things.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Better?
Yeah, that's better. You can see your lovely
Okay.
face.
We all seem to have worked at Coke. The three of us.
Oh, really? You worked at Coke as well?
Yes, I did. I spent what?
Yeah.
8 years of my life in Coke in that Pemberton program.
Yeah.
Wow. I should connect with you guys after to come and take notes. I'm a newbie.
Oh, you're new at Coke.
Yeah, I joined last year during the
Oh
pandemic.
wow.
after
Cletus, what? When did you leave Coke? Cletus, when did you
sorry.
leave Coke? When did you leave Coke? I see you at GB Foods now.
Yeah. End of 2019.
Ah, you're
That's
still
cool.
a newbie too.
So apparently everyone can. How does it? Yeah. This is what I meant saying that it's very unconventional. So everyone can hear us, but we can't see anyone, right?
Yeah.
It's
Even the
very
host
interesting.
you're not gonna see.
Interesting.
I think everyone can
Yeah.
see us now and hear us.
Yeah.
We
Can hear
we
us.
should probably start.
All right. Sure.
We should probably start. I don't think we've got a long time, and
No,
we've
especially if
got.
we have to keep to time that. I mean, we have to end by 5.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Cletus, since you're the one who's showing on the what's it called, the first row, the first like, you want to
Yeah, we
start
can just
off
start
introduce yourself?
here.
Then I'm showing on what?
You're
Yeah,
on
the
the
first.
this side of the screen, so you're
Yeah.
Um,
It's yourself, then Rosemary. So let's just follow that.
so you want to introduce
okay.
yourself? I'm hoping there are people in the
Okay.
room.
So
I can't see the host or anyone else. So I'm hoping there are people in the room so that the three of us are not just talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
right.
David says we're live. We should get started.
Yeah, so said yeah, there are people in the room. So
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think we
Okay.
need to get started, right?
Okay. So Cletus, introduce yourself and tell us why you're wanting to do this session.
Okay. So my name is Cletus Uche Onyebuoha. So the way I like to describe myself is that I am a farmer, I am a lover, I am a
Oh.
gunner, I am Arsenal fan, I am an entrepreneur, and I'm a marketeer. Okay. So speaking of marketing, I've spent 17 and a half years basically in the same profession. So I'm a marketing lifer. Okay. Started my career back in Procter & Gamble, spent 11 and a half years, and then 4 years at Coca-Cola, and now 2 years and counting at Gibbon Foods. So basically I followed I was in blue, I moved to red, and now I'm in orange. So hopefully after this one, I stop following the colors of the rainbow because I'm not chasing rainbows. So just
You haven't done yellow, so maybe you still have one more color to do.
I'm
Angry.
not sure I have the appetite. We'll see. Anyway, so that's basically me. I think on a serious note, I've been very lucky in my career. So I can safely say that I've done virtually all disciplines of marketing within the 17 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
From mundane marketing management, local level, cluster, regional level, to design, to innovation, to strategic marketing. I spent 2 years of my 4 years at Coca-Cola just literally doing this ivory towerish job of strategy, whatever that means. And then I've also done a lot in terms of marketing management, running teams, big operations, big budgets, and so on and so forth. So I've been lucky. So that's why I try to describe myself. I want to believe that I am the marketer who is basically metric driven. I believe that marketing exists for two reasons. One, to drive profits, even though there's a time lag between when marketing starts impacting profit and sales and so on and so forth. And secondly, to build brands. So if your marketing is not doing those two, you're in the business of entertainment. Okay, so we chase numbers
Go to
and
go to a different career
we
route,
chase the
not
brands.
this one.
Absolutely. So that's basically
Thank
me.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cletus. Ayomi, did you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, happy to. So, hi everyone. It's really weird not to see you. My name is Ayomide, and I work with Coca-Cola, where Curtis and Rosemary once worked. So I joined last year, and I'm the only one who's not like a pure, let me say, marketing professional. So maybe I bring like a different perspective in a sense. But I do work in insights, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you about chatting about the insights space, if you will. And similar to Chris, I've been very close to career, and I've had like an unconventional path. Studied here. My entire background is Nigeria. Work has taken me around the world, but my orientation is very Nigerian. So looking forward to just sharing some of the things that I think would be helpful from the perspective of being, let me say, a global player, even though you studied here or your career has been largely here. Just debunking that myth that you can't thrive in an international environment just because right? Or you don't have an advanced fancy degree. So happy to chat about that with everyone.
Okay, thanks a lot. That's really, really interesting. And I think we're going to talk about that a bit more when we get into the sort of areas that we are supposed to cover in this room. My name is Rosemary Ako. I'm currently the managing director of EXP. EXP is a marketing company. We've been doing business for 38 years. We are experiential-led marketing agency, although we do 360 degrees marketing. We do business in over 19 countries. The reason why I was excited about coming to this career room today when JR approached me is because, like Lettuce, I think I've done every job there is to do in marketing. So I started my marketing career 20 years ago in British America Tobacco before I came to Coke. And then from Coke, I went to GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, and I went to Suntory Beverages and Food, the makers of Lucozade and Ribena. And then I went to EXP marketing. So if there's a job to be done in marketing, I'm sure I've done it. So, and I think that after 20 years, I've learned a thing or two. And I always ask myself, what's the point of learning or knowing something if you don't share it with others so they don't fall into the pitfall you fell into? Because, I mean, in 20 years, I've made plenty of mistakes. So I was quite excited about sharing with upcoming people who are still coming up and still trying to figure out what to do, some of the things I have learned. But secondly, in ESP, we are always looking out for creative young people that we can bring into the fold because we call ourselves the School of Experiential Marketing in Africa. So I'm hoping today that I'll find in this forum young people who are willing to come and join us to change the world. So that's why I agreed to join this session. I think based on the what's it called, what JR shared with us, the areas we needed to focus on, there were three basic areas I saw there. There was the preparatory and the basic level. So people who want to come into marketing, yes, get into marketing, what sort of questions should they be asking? What sort of what qualifications should they have? What should they be on the lookout for? How do they join? What's the entry strategy? So, I mean, did you want to speak to that?
So again, I'm going to speak from a more generic perspective because I'm not a marketing expert in the way that you both are, but more of an insight person. And I think generally speaking, when you're getting into any industry, whether you're fresh from school or transitioning from a somewhat early entry-level career, entry-level position, if you have any experience at all that you can profile in your resume, I mean, the first thing that they will ever say about when you're entry-level more often than not is your resume, actually. You apply, or maybe they see your LinkedIn profile, but I'm sure that works for everything. but basically tailoring your resume to display any kind of experience at all that is relevant to the role or the industry that you're interested in. I think it's the first step. That's what will get you through the door. That's what will get your resume seen or not seen to by the automatic the technology that some people use now, basically to screen CVs before it even gets to HR's eyes, right? So just using the right keywords that demonstrates your, experience and all of that in your CV. That's the first thing. And keeping your CV brief. If you're entry level, nobody's looking for 4 pages. One pager that highlights your core experience in line with what you see in the job description. It's not just about you talking about yourself, it's about you talking about yourself in a way that makes you qualified for the job. And then ask questions. That's part of what we're doing here. Use your network to ask questions. Get perspective on precisely what they are looking for. Sometimes there are some things that are not on the JD,
Absolutely,
but you can learn from, just ask somebody here. They say, they really want this kind of person. They really want this kind of person. And then you have the opportunity to either put that on your resume, or by the time you're interviewing, you can present yourself as that kind of person, right? And when it gets to the interview time, of course, practice. Have a compelling story about yourself that makes you look like a good fit for the role. Read the job description like you're reading for an exam, and ask questions as well, like I said. And then at the end, when they give you the opportunity to ask questions, never you say you don't have any questions. Have an intelligent question to ask back. I don't ask, so what's the pay? What's the working hours like? Not those kind of questions. Ask intelligent questions that show that you're interested in winning the opportunity and then thriving in that position, right? Let me not take too much time.
Thank you. Cletus, do you have anything to add to those insights from my community?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think, can you hear me?
Yep. Ninja was saying
Okay.
typing, so I don't know who was typing.
Yeah, I don't know who was typing. There's a bit of noise in the background. Yeah, let me start by saying that when it comes to the 4 specific questions we go from JR, getting into marketing or getting into the company, getting promoted, which is the second thing, getting into middle management and in the C-suite. I think for me, I would like to start by saying that I cannot give you any silver bullets on how to do any of these things, right? Because actually there's none, right? So, but what we can do here, and this is what we're trying to do, is to give you 1,001 incremental tips, which when you put them all together, can actually provide a good guidance in terms of what to look for, the skill sets you need to possess, the kind of behavior you need to have that is expected of someone who is looking for a job or trying to get into a company or trying to get promoted, and so on and so forth. So it's just basically those tips. So without building on, without repeating what you already said, in terms of getting into the company, first, I'll just really, there are 3 tips I will just basically give. One is be the Boy Scouts. Remember the old Boy Scout motto, which is be ready always, be prepared always.
Ready always.
Exactly. So first and foremost, try to understand the profession you're trying to get into. What is marketing, right? And for me, simply where data meets creativity to deliver business and brand results. End of story. So if you understand that, it means you are in the metric business. You're also in the arts business as well, right? So what then do you do? I would just say basically be ready to pass your psychometrics, especially at entry level, right? Pull out your GMAT, your GRT. You don't even know when you're going to need them, right? But just make sure that you're fully ready so that when the opportunity calls, you basically take it with both hands. And I can use myself as an example. When I got my first job, which was my first foray into marketing, shortly after school, I was not necessarily searching, but apparently I was ready. I was ready because, as it turned out, I smashed my way into P&G recruitment, and then P&G did have probably the most difficult written exams for recruitment at entry level back in those days. I think the pass rate was somewhere around 5 or 10%. It was really crazy. I mean, a friend told me, and I sent in my application. I was thinking PNG was going to give me like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then they call, and then I prepare for the interview. Hell no. I got a call the same evening I sent my application to come in the next morning by 10 a.m. to write a test. And that was it. And I wrote the test. I think there was about 43 of us that wrote the test, and only 2 passed. One couldn't make it through the interviews, one did, and that one was me. So that's how I got in there. But again, being ready is the best you can do for yourself, right? Rosemary also, I already alluded to protecting your storytelling, because it's one thing to have it, but it's another thing to really articulate it and tell it very coherently, and then expect of the unexpected questions as well, right? And that is it. And then do your good CV, coming into the meeting or into the exam and your oral interview, being fully prepared, to take the questions and then and take it as it goes. So that's the few tips I could add to what you already said.
Thanks, Cletus. Thanks a lot. And I think that the point you made around being ready and prepared can't even be underestimated. The only thing I wanted to add there, I had a couple of things, but I think 2 of you have touched on most of them. But I also wanted to encourage people who are at the entry level to be prepared to start from the beginning, prepared to learn. A lot of times, and I every day you touched on this, when people come for interviews and you ask them, do you have a question? They ask you, how much am I going to earn? I think that career-wise, you learn, then you earn. If you haven't learned anything, I'm sorry, I'm going to be the one to break the bad news to you. You haven't justified to earn yet. So be prepared to learn first. It's the knowledge you have that will command what you earn later. So I will encourage you to take the small jobs, even if it means interning at a company, just to get the entry level experience, because those are the things that will stand you out. Because as you get into middle management, it's what you know that will help you stand out when it comes to your other mates. So be ready to take entry level jobs. Be ready to learn quickly. Ask for jobs to be given to you. So if you see someone else who's more experienced than you doing something in the company, ask, say, can I help you do that? Can you show me how that's done? Be curious. Don't stop being curious. My children are always asking me why. When you have to tell them you have to do something a certain day, they ask you why. When you answer the why, they ask you why again. I find that once you're curious about the way things are done, you learn quickly and you will grow fast. So I hope that's helpful to people who are at the start of their career. Mayomide touched on having a viable CV. I think you did. If you haven't got I think there was a session also earlier today on CV writing. If you haven't got a viable one, make sure that you arm yourself with a viable one. And like Cletus said, be ready. Be ready. You can be called at the drop of a hat. Be ready. Don't wait until when you're called to get yourself ready. Be ready. And then put yourself out there. Put yourself out there. Look for jobs, look for interning jobs, look for entry-level jobs, and don't worry too much about what you earn at the start. Be more concerned about what you learn, because it will help you later on to earn. I think we should speak to the getting promoted. What does it mean?
Yeah. Can I chip in very quickly on the internship point? Internships are underrated. I was a serial intern, and in many ways, those internships are what set me up for my career, because I was not the smartest person in school. I didn't actually have great grades coming out of school. So some people would have already just cut me out. My CV would not have made it to some screaming. I didn't make it to one, right? So, but the internships I did, and I remember people teasing me about it, because I was just like, I would intern, sometimes limited pay, or I would think there was no pay, and then I'll later find out there was pay, pleasantly surprised that there was pay, right? And those internships actually set me up to get my first role. The first job I got was something I got while I was on an internship. And so, yeah, definitely, if you haven't done it, maybe you're counting the coins that, who's going to pay me, whether or not they're going to pay me, or someone has offered you something and the pay was too small. Honestly, like Rosemary said, at the moment, it's a buyer's market. It's whatever the people that are hiring you tell you that you take. Eventually, in a few years, you start negotiating things, and that's nice. But in the beginning, you are padding your own CV. So if you have to work for free sometimes, and I'm not saying, be a slave to some inhumane people or anything like that, no. But what it will take for you within reason to get experience on your CV, do it. Do the internship, even if it's for free. Do it. You'll be glad later.
Yeah, it gives you an edge over others, and you're right to say that there are a lot of people who are graduating from school every year, and as an employer myself, I see a lot of people who come through, and you can clearly see the hungry ones who are ready to, I want to learn, I want in 2 years' time, I want to be a brand manager. Then you can see the ones who are saying, Madam HR Director, how much are you going to pay me before I even get myself out of the bed in the morning? You can tell who's going somewhere, who's not going anywhere. Okay, so now we've gotten past the stage of where someone has got a great CV, is prepared, has interned, gotten a job, has got into a company. How do they get promoted? What's the advice we have for them on how they can get promoted? Because obviously nobody wants to do the same job for the next 10 years. But sometimes it's people's strategy to say, leave me where I am. But just in case you're not in that bracket and you want to move quickly and you've gotten into the company, you want to move quickly, what do we advise that they do? So
if I might. Okay, cool. So again, just some tips basically, and then basically interlace it with a bit of experience, direct experience and all that. So for me, the first thing I would tell you is once you get into a company, you started your career, get a mentor or mentors very early. Okay? Whether it's formal or informal, get the mentor. Here's my experience. So I got into P&G. The same month I started, guess what? The brand manager who was supposed to be my direct manager got wedded. In fact, she had just wedded, and then I came in, and then the husband basically took her to London. So I lost my manager. My one-up, who is the marketing director then, was already pregnant. I needed to go back to Kenya because she was Kenyan. She's Kenyan. She went back to Kenya. So I lost my manager, my one-up, on the very first month of joining. And I got directly exposed to the general manager. And the general manager, of course, didn't have my time. He was forever demanding stuff from me. He never directed me, let alone coaching, because he didn't have the time. And coupled with also some personality crisis, with him, I can say that now because, the guy had a very well-documented anger issues. So imagine those dynamics coming together. And me being in a company of smart people. So this guy will come in and say, okay, Cletus, I need to see your penetration for this SKU for this. And I'm like, okay, where do I even get the penetration? This is 1 month of joining, right? Now, what I did was quite interesting. And probably this is what really helped me to probably get my career accelerated and, relative to my peers and all that, I made faster progress. One, I looked out, there were 3 other ladies, 2 brand manager, 1 brand manager at APN, and then there was this other lady in finance. And I started reaching out to them, informally, tagging along their teams, trying to learn, run my works by them before I go back, to share with, the general manager, right? Second tip, be very ruthless in self-learning, okay? Self-learning, building your capabilities. For me, I have to self-onboard myself. I started reading marketing textbook. That was the first time I met Kotler and Sharp, and I started reading past business reviews and histories and so on and so forth. So, and that really, really helped me. Third one is also understand what performance looks like. This was very important for me, guys. Each time people say, somebody say high performer, a low performer. From my own experience, I'm not going to get this from any textbook. Okay, this is Cletus Onyebua speaking, basically. Performance or low performance can always be defined across 4 questions. 4 questions determines whether you perform or you don't perform. Question number 1, do you really know what to do? Second question, if you know what to do, do you know how to do it? This is where skill sets come in and competencies. And if you know what to do, you know how to do it, is there something stopping you from doing it? Barriers. If you know what to do, you know how to do it, there's nothing stopping you from doing it. The fourth one is, are you even willing to do it? Procrastination. Can you get over it? Now, the good news, and this is what I tell my mentees and marketers, my team every day. The good news is your manager is directly responsible for the first three questions. He needs to explain what to do and never leave a meeting room until you understand what to do. Simple question, but it could be very complicated. Understand objectives, understand KPIs, understand what to do. Second thing, if you don't know how to do it, seek help. Ask Mr. Manager. That's why he's earning fatter salary than you. Mr. Manager, show me how to do it. If there's an Excel sheet to run, there are some analysis to do. If you don't know how to do it or the databases or whatever, ask, receive help, right? And then the third thing for me is, if there are barriers. Now, this third question is very interesting. Most times, it doesn't become very obvious to you while you're talking with your manager or whoever you're giving that work or the task for. You start doing it, then you run into barriers. Maybe budget. Maybe you're waiting on somebody to do something before you can do your own. As soon as you bump into it, first thing you need to think, can I solve it? If you can solve it and move on. But if you cannot solve it, go back to Mr. Manager and say, look, you gave me this, and this deadline is going to be this date. Can you align with this person's manager so they can prioritize something for her so that she can do her bit so you can actually give you this? Otherwise, Mr. Manager, I can't deliver on Wednesday as agreed. Probably going to deliver on Friday. This is really important, barriers. Now, the third one, please just do it. Okay? If you're the type that procrastinates, and by the way, procrastination happens to all of us. There are certain tasks in marketing I hate them. The ones that are like paperwork, doing your budget tracking. I love budget tracking, but I hate the paperwork that comes with it. And I still hate it, right? What I've learned to do, right, on procrastination, once I procrastinate, then I make a commitment and say, look, I'm going to give you this. And because integrity is big for me, once I give you my word, I want to do it. And I read a lot of books. For example, Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog. He really dealt with procrastination. That's a good book. Right? So there's another one also I read recently, powerful book, The 4% Fix by Kama Brown. I mean, these are people who understood time and they can actually, define how you can manage your time and things like that. So for me, those are the few hacks I will give you. If you do those, I think you're pretty much on your way. The rest is about being self-aware, make sure you deliver results and be consistent in doing it. Once you do those, I think you're on your way to being promoted. Yeah.
We've got a question, Cletus. And I think also you may want to jump in there. We've got a question about mentorship. So the question is that how do they go about getting a mentor? And if you approach someone and they say to you, myself, I'm also looking for a mentor, what do you do? So
yeah, I think it's a very good question. So for me, when it comes to mentoring, it starts with you looking for a mentor. And I asked all the people that reach out to me on LinkedIn to say, please, I need you to mentor me. My first question is, what do you want me to mentor you on?
Yes.
You have to know what you're looking for, right? It's a blue ocean out there, right? Be specific. What are you looking for? What capability area? What competency? What are you looking for specifically, right? Define that even before you start searching. That's the first thing. Now, going to this question directly, for me, you need to then, based on that, look at the skill sets of certain mentors or would-be mentors and all that. Does those skill sets and their particular experiences speak to what you need, right? And if they do, and then you go there, if the person has your time and so on and so forth, definitely becomes a very perfect match, right? But if you go to a mentor, a would-be mentor, and the first question is like, okay, me, I'm also looking for a mentor, then he's not a mentor. So both of you are still mentees. So you have to look for somebody who really can help you, right? Because a mentor needs to have done it, needs to have experienced it before they can actually help you, right? Absolutely. Otherwise, it's just going to be counterproductive. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Sorry, did you have anything to add, either on the mentorship or on getting promoted as in general?
Okay, on both. The mentorship one I really love because I have never, if I remember correctly, never asked anyone, can you be my mentor? But I have mentors, right? Formally or informally. What is a mentor? Someone you want to learn from, who may or may not have the opportunity to actually coach you through what you're going through because they've experienced it before. So to Clayton's point, there's something you want to learn. Instead of going to say, hello, please, can you be my mentor? Just have your question ready and ask either when you can book time on your calendar, if they're in your office, right? You have access to their calendar, maybe you can book time for a quick call, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. Or if it's someone that you don't have, direct access to their calendar or whatnot, just you want a quick call if you can, or can you take, depending on the gap, I guess, in seniority or whether or not it's a warm contact or a cold contact, whether you can take them to lunch or take them to coffee or meet them at their office, just have your question. And I think for some people, we always look for some far person, the person that is always is popular on LinkedIn, popular on Instagram, popular on Twitter, or on Forbes list, and to want to ask them to be your mentor. There are people under your nose.
Yes, absolutely.
That underestimated. And this one my mentor. But no, those people are so, because they have more time and they can be more invested in your life than someone who a million people are reaching out to them on LinkedIn to ask them, hello, can you be my mentor? And then Christos has to be stealing them out by asking them questions like, what do you want? Oh, what exactly do you want from me? So just know what you want to learn and ask a question. There are people that are willing to just take a quick call to answer your question without being boggled down by mentor. Sounds like a big deal, and some people honestly think that maybe they don't have the time to do that. But if it's a question and they can just connect with, I went through this, so I'll be happy to share with her or him how to get through this as well. And it's a quick thing. And if you want, send follow-ups. It's like, oh, thank you so much for the time you spent with me talking about this. I've done this, and these were the results. Person becomes more invested in you. It's like, okay, this one is not a time waster. They didn't come to see me so they can take a picture and put it that they met me, whatever, So that's one way. I have literally never said, can you be my mentor to anybody? But I've been very fortunate to have received mentorship from different people. My peers, not only senior people. So my peers and senior people as well. Because there's different types of mentorship. And people within my industry and outside of my industry, right? Some of the challenges we face cut across industries. Okay, so that's on the mentorship part. On the promotion part, you actually can start, like you said, from day one, you started your career. I even want to say from your interview, because that time they told you, ask us anything. You could have asked some questions that would literally already start preparing you to know, in this organization, what do they reward and what do they celebrate? You would already get perspective on what success in that role would look like from your interview. And while you are there at the organization, when you have your reviews, your performance reviews, instead of just allowing your manager to tell you, you did well, you didn't do well, always be curious about, okay, to do better, what's required of you. Because the honest truth is, some managers, for whatever, a variety of reasons, time constraints, personality challenges, they may not be able to give you the constructive feedback that you need to take to that next level. So you draw it out of them. Ask questions that you look to get to the next level, or if you're a local, God forbid, what does it mean to become hypo, and have literally practical things that by the time you do your next review, you're able to say, oh, I have now worked on this, I have now worked on this, I have now worked on this. And that's literally growth. What's promotion? It's being rewarded for growth. So you have to first demonstrate growth before you can be promoted. So yeah, that's and maybe one thing I'll throw in there. If for example, early in your career, it's not really you may not have the opportunity to pick and choose. So you landed a job because you needed a job. But at the time that you're growing, for example, if you look at some of the things that are celebrated in that company and not the things that are part of your core values, let me say. Or when you look at the broader industry or the global scale, those are not things that are going to be rewarded in the long term. You can actually, based on that, start charting your path out of that organization. Get your promotion there, while you can, but when you can get to the point where you have some power to pick and choose, start charting your path out. And one thing that I wanted to make sure I mentioned also is when it comes to growth within organizations, especially international organizations, some of the things that you used to get teased about in school, that you stay away from it, or that you used to insult people for doing, are the things that get rewarded. I too know. Everybody tries not to be or tries not to be too forward. You don't want to take initiative. Those things, look out within your organization. Some organizations more so than others, but those things that you might have shied away from for cultural reasons, Nigerian, African, so you don't talk too much, you don't want all of those things. are things that may keep you back from being promoted. So just start observing what are some of those things that are rewarded in your organization and make sure that you're also doing them. Yeah. And if you can't do them, reach out to people that are doing them and ask them how.
How? Yeah, you're right. You're so right. So I think we've got some questions, but before I read the questions, I think the point you're making around proving yourself is a very important one. I had it as one of the things I wanted to talk about. Once you've gotten to that point in your career where you're seeking promotion, you need to prove yourself. And Cletus touched on it. Your performance is important. People don't get promoted in corporate organizations because they've been there long enough. It's not a police barracks. I mean, no, not making light of the police force, but you don't get promoted in the likes of ESP Marketing or Coke or GB Foods just because you've been there long enough. No, you must prove
True.
yourself. So the first point before you even start thinking of being promoted is, are you justifying the promotion that you're looking for? And I always say pay the price ahead. So if you're looking for a step forward, you want to get to the next level in your career, work like you're already in that next level. Ask yourself what's expected in this next level. Already do it now so that you are justifying the promotion. And when so the one thing is work hard, prove yourself, ask for feedback. And Cletus touched on it. Ask for feedback. Ask how am I performing. Ask not just at review times. Ask how am I after every project or every job you do. Ask your peers, your mentors, your line manager. Ask for feedback. Genuinely, with an open mind, ask, could I have done this differently or better? I think this is one of the things that has helped me the most in my career. Everybody who knows me knows that I always ask for feedback. Even if you're a junior person who's working with me, if we do something together, I will ask you, could I have done it better? Because you only get better based on the feedback you receive. And when people give me feedback, even if it hurts, I still take it with an open mind. I say, Rosemary, but you asked for that feedback. So even if it's paining you, collect it and work on it. So work on your feedback. But my final point on that one before I read the question is, once you've gotten to the point where you're confident that actually I need to be promoted, ask for it. Ask for it more times than not. Promotions don't fall from the tree and fall on top of people's heads. Ask for it. I have an experience when I was in Coke. I was senior brand manager Colas, and there was an opening for marketing manager Juice. This was just before the plants. I don't know. I've been there many years ago. Some of you may not remember when the juice plant got burnt. So the marketing director then and the HR director mentioned that they were going to hire someone from outside for the marketing manager role for what was it called then? It was called non-alcoholic, something like I forget what the name was, but the person was going to be responsible for the juices and energy drinks then. So I said to myself, you'll be here to go and hire somebody else, and you've been working so hard as a senior brand manager, and you're waiting for a marketing manager role. So I went to HR director and I told them that I wanted to apply for the role. He said no, that they want to recruit from outside. I said why? He said because there's no internal person who qualifies for the job. I said, who's the recruiting manager? He says the marketing director. He told me he was the marketing director. I went home. I remember it was Kofi Amageshi then. That was the marketing director. I went home and I wrote a long episode to the marketing director. And I attached all the commendation I had gotten. I attached all the you've done well, all the commendation letters I had received over the last 2 years that I was senior brand manager. I attached every single thing. And you know what I was asking him? I said, Kofi, just allow me to be interviewed for the job. If I don't do well, then I shouldn't be taken. But I think it will not be fair if I'm not given an opportunity. So they said, okay, we'll open it up for internal people to apply. So I was allowed to apply along with external people. Of course, having been in Coke for a couple of years, I knew the questions they'll be asking. And I know that Coke will ask you star questions in star format, so I was ready. And with the interview external people and the interview internal people, of course, I did better than everybody else and I got the job. But my point is, if you've worked hard, you've asked for feedback, you've received the feedback, you've worked on the areas that you're supposed to work on, you're performing, don't be shy to ask for a promotion. Don't be shy to ask for it. It doesn't fall off from the tree. Someone is going to get promoted, either internally or externally. You better position yourself to be one of the people who stand the chance. And also, speaking about promotion, if you don't get it the first time, don't feel bad. Sometimes people don't get what they ask for when they want it, and they feel like, oh, the world is about to end. Oh, I now feel slighted because I didn't get it. No, it's just a blip in your career. Overlook it and keep moving. Just ask yourself, what did I learn? What didn't I do well? What could I have done differently? Pick the learnings and keep going. So shall we see what questions our people have for us?
Yeah, I think there's one here about what if your mentor, you're not benefiting, and what do you do? Look, for me, I would just quickly say two things, right? One, have an honest conversation with the mentor. Okay, just try to understand, because sometimes mentors, by the way, they're human beings, so they struggle with a whole lot of things as well. They're trying to juggle things, so understand why the person doesn't have your time, right? Make it an honest conversation, and if at the end of that conversation you discover that this person truly, yes, maybe the person is willing to do it, but just doesn't have the time to do it for me, then you have to move on. You have to find another mentor, right? You can't get stuck on one mentor. There are millions of mentors out there, so you can get them very quickly. That's one thing. Then the second thing I also want to quickly add, just what Rosemary basically, when she was talking about that promotion is not going to fall upon your head. That is very, very true. But that is, for me also, it goes back to understanding the cultural differences, that exist across companies, right?
Yeah.
In Procter & Gamble, where I spent 11 and a half years, promotions were pretty much predictable. 3.5 years in, I knew I was going to get promoted. Like at the end of my 3.5 years, I knew I was going there, right? Because P&G's culture and so structured, promotion is metric driven, it's predictable. There are time factors, so you can do all kinds of permutations, and it can literally predict when you can get promoted, right? So P&G was very structured in that sense. And it was also a world where if you do it very well, if you build a beautiful mousetrap, people will recognize and say, hey, you've got a beautiful mousetrap there. Therefore, you're getting promoted. When I joined Coca-Cola, that was one of my steepest learning curve. So it was no longer enough to build a beautiful mousetrap, but I needed to take my trumpets and go on top of the mountains to say, guys, bam,
Stop blowing it.
I have a beautiful mousetrap here, right? Cultural differences. So you have to go out for it. You have to talk to people. You have to ask for feedback. You have to, and for me, imagine me coming from P&G. It was. I had an out of body experience, because I believe I was the kind of person. Do your work. Your work will speak for you. Don't shout. Don't bother about, and I'm very cynical about office politics anyways, naturally. So, and Coca-Cola taught me that, yes, the work will be very different. So I think recognizing those cultural differences can really, really help you in terms of being promoted. Yeah.
And I think that discussion naturally leads us into the becoming a manager, because we'll be ending on the note of getting into the C-suite. But becoming a manager, when you're promoted into a manager, what does it mean? And what are the sort of critical behaviors you need as a manager to get yourself ready for the C-suite? What's your view, Ayomide?
Sure, happy to go. So I think one of the first things is transitioning from what where that list of 4 things, the number 1, number 2, number 3 is your manager's responsibility, is now becoming your responsibility. You're moving away from being someone that just executes what they told you to do, you're doing it. You're now becoming a thought partner with the person who's your people, your direct person you're reporting to. You're literally co-creating in some cases the vision for the function, the direction for the function, and how you and you're now taking end-to-end responsibility from the ideation point or from the visionary point, deciding what exactly you're going to do for whatever the question or the question is, all the way to executing policy control and then even tracking the outcomes. You now have responsibility for it. Maybe not absolute responsibility, depends on what level of management you're in, but you are now going away from being a receiver of direction to being an owner. So that's one of the key shifts. You can't wait for people to tell you what to do anymore. And you can't take absolute initiative either. It's like you think through what it is that you think would be best in this, align with your manager or the executive that you're working with, and then take ownership and run with it and execute on it. Always still pull in your direct reports for support on knocking out barriers or getting buy-in where you need it, but you are the owner of that process. I think that's the biggest switch, and for most new managers, and I'll say it happened to me as well. So nobody's going to tell me what to do. Nobody, well, what? Nobody's telling me what to do. Okay, this is weird, but that's literally what it is. And just speaking very quickly to what's happening with promotion. If you get promoted prematurely, it will be a very painful experience for you, because ordinarily, like what Rosemary said, you'd have started demonstrating some of those things in your non-managerial role. You've already kind of practiced those things. You become a third partner to your manager. You've already started taking ownership of some things. So it won't be too much of a shock to you. It will still be a shock because they're still used to getting direction at a certain level. And the manager role doesn't mean that you're now absolutely, autonomous, but you're taking more initiative. So even your growth, all of your experience stacks on each other. So if you jump any particular, it's not like in primary school where you can get double promotion and it's a good thing. Sometimes it's a good thing if you've already been demonstrating the skills, but it could be a setup for some pain. I won't say failure, I'll say some pain. If you try and fight for that promotion and you get it too early, it could be painful. You still grow, right? But it could be painful. But there's something else I was going to talk about.
No, that's fine. I mean, one of the things that you will find in many resumes, many adverts when they're asking for managers is ability to work without supervision. So, and I think that's what you've touched on strongly. As a manager, you need to be able to work with little or no supervision. Cletus, did you have anything to add on that one before we go to the C-suite? I understand we have barely 15 minutes.
Yeah, for me, just again, a couple of tips. Totally agree with Ayo, right? Few things to add, right? For me, I think the first thing is, if you are a manager or you've already become a manager, it doesn't matter whether it's middle level or low level. Once you are a manager of people, you need to quickly, first and foremost, make the transition from having to get the work done by yourself and getting results by yourself to having to get the same result and the work done through others. Okay. So now you start dealing with human beings, okay? And it's a different experience completely, right? Me as a person, I was the go-getter, just do things. And I had a tough time making this transition, letting go, right? So, but you need to make that transition very quickly, right? Another thing I want to repeat here as well, management doesn't mean, okay, I'm now the manager, middle management, therefore, some things in the past don't count, like results. You need to deliver what I call consistency of results. You need to continue delivering results, right? I used to tell my team members, and some of them used to smile each time I say this. If you cannot repeat success, then you were lucky the first time, okay? So how do you repeat success? So you need to repeat this, right? And if you achieve one thing, you deliver one thing, and then they get you promoted, you need to quickly redefine the standard for success. Otherwise, you get bored and get stuck, where you are. So how do you constantly keep on going to higher grounds and delivering brilliant results? That would also count. The final thing I want to add here when it comes to, managing people or managing, it's also important to manage up, okay? Manage your manager, right? P&G used to call it managing your manager. Manage laterally people, your peers, but also manage up, very important. So it's not just looking down and managing your team, right? In terms of managing up, look, time will come when you disagree with your managers. And I've had that experience many times. But here's what I've learned to do, okay? I will disagree, especially when I have a strong opinion, I have my data set, and I know that the direction we should go is, one direction. But for whatever superior reason, right, this manager has a different point of view. My advice to you is commit, okay? It's fine to disagree, but commit to the execution of what your manager is saying. Because you know what? My loyalty, and I used to tell myself this, my loyalty is not to my convictions. My loyalty is to the company as long as they pay your salary, right? If you want to make it like your loyalty is only to your convictions and all that, then get out. You don't belong in that company, right? As long as they pay your salaries and give you bonuses, your loyalty is primarily to the company. And your manager is the embodiment of that company, right? So you may disagree, but please commit to execute. And by the way, when you execute, be genuine, give it everything. Don't do it half-heartedly because you're not really in this space and all that. That is really, really important. Managing laterally, okay? Please, here are some pitfalls. Do not treat your peers in a condescending manner in any way. It will always catch up with you. Okay, that's number one. Okay, do not. I've seen a lot of guys. The people I used to say they are starstruck. You meet them in every company, right? These guys are starstruck. These are the guys that write emails. They write God and copy the whole world and his angel, and then they throw big names upon you and just to make you feel small, that they're now big and the stars of the company and all that. Watch out for these guys. They are heading for the brick wall. You can't succeed so long doing that by every time throwing it down on people and all that. Never sell out on your peers, whatever. Be loyal to them. Genuinely help people to work and to succeed. Don't worry if you don't get rewarded immediately. Trust me, over time, your good work will catch up with you and you get rewarded and all that. So for me, these are some of the dynamics you need to watch out. If you find yourself in middle management already and you're really wanting to now make it all the way to the C-suite. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Cletus. I think that the next phase is the one that I really love discussing the most, especially with marketing people like the two of you. Marketing and strategy people like the two of you. You know that the fastest way into the C-suite is not through marketing. You do know that. It's either through finance or through the commercial team. That's the truth. So as a marketing person, how do you get into the C-suite? How do you get it?
Can I just?
So I have the point of view because I think this one landed on my head. Getting into the C-suite landed on my head, but I also prepared for it because somebody asked me this same question I'm asking many years ago, and it changed my perspective of things. Because of that, I started paying attention to different things, and that's how I got to where I am. But Ayomide, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it depends on how you look at marketing. The truth is, and it's unfortunate, lots of people what Cletus said earlier about it's a cross between creativity and result.
Data.
Another side of
data, creativity coming together.
Yeah, a lot of people focus on the creative side, and like you said, they're in entertainment business. So the marketing professionals that are in entertainment business are the ones that do it fast.
Absolutely.
But the ones who have their eyes on how consumers are reacting to things that they do within the entire marketing mix, and not only creatives or marketing communications. Those guys make it to this. They're extremely valuable to the business, and it's about demonstrating that value. Right? They see you as only an entertainer.
You won't get there. You're right.
And Rosemary, just to chip in something here, if I may. Again, it comes to what I refer to as the cultural differences across companies. Okay, in Procter & Gamble, I can tell you, majority of the time, the CEO is a marketer. Okay, don't even
has some form of marketing in their background. You're right.
No, I'm telling you, these are thoroughbred marketers from ABM level all the way to CEO. Go check. Right? Very few that didn't start from marketing. Maybe few from even engineering, by the way. So it's not always finance people and all that. Coca-Cola was a different culture, right? Coca-Cola is just consultants. Background. That's the people that make CEOs and all that. So again, different culture. So for me, again, that's why I said that for me, there's no hard and fast rule to this, right? But the point is this: if you are already in middle management, be aware of what keeps your manager and your manager's manager awake in the night, what keeps them up at night, right? Because in middle management, most likely your manager is, let's say, the marketing director, and this marketing director is reporting into the general manager already. Both of them have P&L pressures. Both of them are more data-driven results and so on and so forth. Be aware of what keeps them awake. and then genuinely try to work yourself into helping them be available to do this, because then that's the only way that you get more exposure into what counts for them, which is the numbers thing, the business results, and so on and so forth. And this is how you start developing your muscle in business management, whether it's P&L and so on and so forth. So for me, whether you're from finance or you're from marketing or whatever, you just be aware that at this top of the pyramid, it's all about the business numbers, right?
Yeah.
And also about building brands for the future, because you still need to keep those brands to continue to deliver the business result in the future. So, and if you're aware of that and you're working towards that and you're helping, most likely, you're going to make your career switch towards general management and so on and so forth. But in some companies already, as a marketer, you have P&L responsibility, by the way. Make no mistake about it, even as a
Yes,
marketer.
sir. You're very right. You're very right. I think that in generality, in any company, regardless of what the company is, if you don't understand how the company works, you can't get into the C-suite. You can't be one-dimensional and want to get into the C-suite. You must get past the point where you only understand how marketing works. You must understand finance. How does finance work? How does the number that I'm turning around in marketing translate to the bottom line? How do we make, what does our P&L look like? You should be able to look at the P&L and understand it. You must understand how people work. What is the process? What is the people process we have in place? How do we motivate people? How do we attract people? How do we retain people? Those are all important parts of how the C-suite works. And like Cletus said, what's the main problem that's keeping people awake at night at that level? If you don't understand those things, Ayomide, you mentioned it earlier, you can get promoted into the C-suite and you struggle not just for yourself, you also put the company in problem because you now scatter any good work that they have done before you got there. I think that the aspiring to get into the C-suite is a good aspiration, but there's work to be done. There's a popular saying in the Bible that many are called, few are chosen. Everybody cannot and will not be the CEO of a company. If you want to go that direction, you must be clear to yourself that that's what you are wanting to do. Then you must make the sacrifice that is required. In a classroom full of made up of 20 people, if there are like 5 people who are aspiring to be a CEO in the company, only one can be at a particular time. And the only way to distinguish yourself is that you must be willing to pay the price. Pay the price. Ask yourself, what do they know? And this is when having a mentor within the company counts. Look for mentors at the very top and say, what's keeping you guys awake? What are you guys working on? What's our 10-year plan? What's our vision? What do we want to achieve? Start thinking about them. I said this earlier. Don't wait to get in the room to act like you're in the room. So already act like you're in the room before you get there. So if for the company that you work for, you seek to get into their C-suite, if the big challenge they have is that they want to turn around, they want to turn profit, obviously. Profit is important for many companies. How does that company make profit? Start understanding it before you get into the C-suite. Have a vision about how you will make people work or how people issues will work in the company. Those are really, really important stuff that if you want to fast track your way into this C-suite, you must consider those things. Have we got any other questions that we need to answer before we wrap up?
There is, apparently it's time. Doesn't look like a question yet.
Yeah.
My point of view, though, I was just rushing through that because I thought we will have questions. My point of view, though, is that, and you probably shouldn't say it outside this circle, but I think that the marketing people make the best. I'm telling you, I'm not joking. I've met many CEOs in my short time of being a managing director. When I see a strong CEO, a strong managing director, and I look back on their career, I always find that somewhere they were marketing people. Most times we make the best C-suite people. But a lot of times earlier in our career, we are so focused on the marketing stuff that we don't think beyond it. So it's always good to encourage people way before you start aspiring to get into the C-suite to look broader than just your function. Don't always focus on marketing alone. You must be cross-functionally strong to perform well at the C-suite level. being collaborative, not competitive, is key to succeeding. You can't, there's this saying that it happens in Coke. It's happened in many companies that worked in BAT, GSK, where they'll say marketing people and sales people and finance people are always in contending for something. I don't know what they contend for, but the point being that in order for you to succeed at that level, you must be able to collaborate with leaders. So you must find a common ground. You must you must be the rallying point for different people in the organization. That's when it will be an easier work for you in the C-suite. Cletus, do you have anything you want to add to that one?
There's a question.
No, for me, there's a question here actually. Yeah, but for me, the only thing I want, well said, Rosemary. Totally agree with you all the points you made. The only thing I keep on saying that even after you've made it into the C-suite, right, you need to constantly continue to build your image, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Who are you, and make sure that you are playing to your strength, because the C-suite is also a wide room, right? And you need to know what your strengths are and play to your strength, because that is a unique thing you bring into that space. Okay?
Absolutely.
There's a question here.
And then also surround yourself with people who make up for your gaps.
Absolutely.
Nobody is an all-rounder good in everything. So
exactly.
You must have awareness, understanding what you're good at. It's critical.
Yes.
You must know yourself.
Exactly.
They say, man, know thyself. You must know yourself, know what you're good at. Then hire to fill or surround yourself with people who make up for the things that you're not so good at. So that as a team, you're very strong. Because being in the C-suite is not about one person. It's not about you anymore. It's more about the team. How strongly do you perform as a team? So if you know the areas that you're not strong in, hire or bring people who are strong in that area. So as a team, you guys are, as I would say, an A team. What's the question we have? I couldn't open the chat box.
Let me read it. So it says, does your mentor in C-suite and senior management role have to be in the same company and industry? The short answer is a no, right?
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. And then but again, guys, don't mix up mentoring and career sponsor, sort of. That's right. It's two different things. Career sponsors are mostly within the company because they need to continue to watch you grow and all that. The mentors can be from any company. The second question is, how does
it's recommended that you have mentors both within your company, but especially outside your company, because they will give you a different context for what you're dealing with.
Exactly.
So that you're not narrow-minded in terms of how you deal with issues. So it's really important that even if you have mentors within your company, you should also have mentors outside.
Totally. And then the second question says, how does being at the very top shape mentorship needs and relationships? Very interesting question, right? So for me, look, again, when it comes to growth in the company, it is not like a certificate. When you go to school, whether it's an MBA, then you get your certificate, you're done. You place it on your wall and it's beautiful, right? You're done. No. When it comes to growth, professional growth, even after the C-suite, you need to constantly continue to grow, right? And if you're going to grow, for me, mentoring and mentorship is a lifelong thing, at least from my point of view. You need to continuously learn and learn, right? I can tell you today, sometimes what I get mentored on are competencies I know I already have. I know I already have them, but I just want to know where those competencies are today, right? Like, for example, in my marketing bits, I am an ardent student of digital marketing. And I go all the way, I pay for courses, I do all kinds of things, right? And I have people that talk to me on digital. They're not even Nigerians, whether it's Dave Morrissey or Neil Patel. These are industry names, right? So for me, finding yourself in C-suite shouldn't stop the learning curve, right? You need to constantly learn and all that. Otherwise, you're just going to become a dinosaur and become a relic of the past, right? Very quickly,
Okay. I think that in the absence of any other questions or comments, if I say so myself, I think we would have done justice to the topics we were given to talk about: starting your career, progressing within your career, becoming a manager, getting promoted, and then getting into the C-suite. I hope people would have picked one or two things from the things we've shared. And we are, I believe, all on LinkedIn. So feel free to reach out to any of us if you want to discuss further. Also, like I mentioned at the start, if you're interested in working in an experiential marketing agency, either you're starting your career or you're middle level, feel free to reach out to me. If you're passionate, if you're willing to work and you want to earn, you learn, then you earn, like we said earlier. But it's been interesting to be here. Thank you, Ayomide and Cletus. Thanks everyone who participated in the session. And Jar, thank you very much for asking us to come along.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks, Rosemary.
Yeah,
thanks, Ayomide. Thanks, JR, Ezra, David. Well done, guys. Bye.
Bye.
cheers.